My name is Hunter Jones, and this is my reading of the resource-based view and VRIN analysis. The resource-based view is a conceptualization of a firm that attempts to explain why some firms are more profitable than others. The logic boils down to the more successful firms processing resources and/or capabilities that are superior to those of competitors and difficult for competitors to replicate. Resources are things that the firm owns or has access to that it can use to create and capture value. Capabilities are things from the firm to create and capture value. Note that not doing something is not Note that not doing something is not a capability if, for example, a firm does not advertise and this benefits them strategically. It is incorrect to say that not advertising is capability. Instead, one must identify what they do that allows them to not advertise. This is the capability. Identifying what type of competitive advantage a firm has, meaning temporary or sustainable, requires identifying the resource and capabilities that are key to its success. These are also known as core competencies. Excuse me on that. Each of them, or relevant combinations, should be analyzed according to the VRIN criteria. How valuable it is, meaning does it increase the price customers are willing to pay, attract more customers, or lower costs into the firm? How rare it is, meaning do many other firms have access to similar competency? How how costly it is to imitate. Sorry about that. And how costly it is to substitute, meaning can other firms easily access a different resource or capability that accomplishes the same purpose? Rarity is the characteristic that most students have a hard time understanding. The question of rarity very much has to do with the nature or degree. For example, most firms have reputations, but when assessing the rarity of the reputation of a specific firm, the question is not whether other firms have reputations. The question is whether how many other firms have a reputation that is similar to the reputation of the firm being analyzed. Similarly, the degree of quality of the resource matters. For example, if the manufacturer has been recognized as the highest quality manufacturer in its field, then its reputation for quality is rare. Even if other competitors have reputations for quality, being seen as the best is rare. Another common problem with reasoning about rarity is when the analysis says that a resource is not rare, but it is difficult to imitate. This does not make sense. If a resource is not rare, then it must not be difficult to imitate, because it has been imitated many times. VRIN analysis is performed resource by resource, one at a time. This is incorrect to say. Apple is vulnerable because, Apple is rare because, etc. It is also incorrect to say a valuable resource of Apple's is its operating system. A rare resource of Apple is its brand, etc. These are both very common mistakes. They do not provide any insight into sustainable competitive advantage, because sustainable competitive advantage comes from resources and capabilities that meet all of the VRIN criteria. The correct approach is Apple's operating system is valuable because, Apple's operating system is rare because, etc. The following table is a useful illustration to correct approach to VRIN analysis. It could be written out in paragraph form fairly easily for inclusion in a report or memo. Note that this is for a fictional hypothetical firm. It is not meant to represent reality. The 6 categories it's placed in is resource or capability, valuable, rare, difficult to imitate, difficult to substitute, and then the explanation. I will go down and read each one in that order, starting with reputation for quality. Yes, it is valuable. Yes, it is rare. Yes, it is difficult to imitate. Yes, it is difficult to substitute. This firm is known as the best in its industry, and the path dependency makes it difficult for competitors to catch up. Next, innovative marketing. Yes, it is valuable. Yes, it is rare. somewhat difficult to imitate, and somewhat difficult to substitute. The explanation for this is other firms may be able to develop similar capabilities or copy the firm's tactics, but it would be difficult, and the firm's reputation increases the effectiveness of its marketing. And lastly, the human capital management. Yes, it is valuable. Yes, it is rare. Yes, it is difficult to imitate, and somewhat difficult to substitute. The explanation being human capital management capabilities have a great deal of social complexity involved and depend heavily on firm culture, which is very difficult to imitate. A competitor may be able to acquire other resources to decrease the advantage from the firm's human capital management. That is all.